Hi, good night everyone. This is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe, and I am live to take your immigration questions. So go ahead and put your questions in the comments so I can answer those questions. So I want to formally introduce myself. I am U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe, and I help clients to get their green cards and status in the United States. I also come on every single night with very few exceptions to answer your immigration questions. And so here I am again. I'm closing out the night with you, taking your questions. So go ahead. This is all for you. So go ahead, put your questions in the comments, and I will go ahead and answer your questions as they come in. I usually have a topic that I talk about in between questions. And so while I wait for your questions to come in, that's what I'll be doing tonight. And I'll be talking about applying for U.S. citizenship right now. What are the requirements? However, keep in mind that there's no such thing as an off-topic question. You can ask anything that you want to ask. Put those questions in the comments, whether it's related to what I'm talking about or not. Just go ahead, put it in the comments. You can also put it in the Q&A option, especially if you find that your question is not coming across to me. Put your question in the Q&A option. So I am U.S. Immigration Attorney. I help people to get their green cards and status in the United States. You can learn more about me, what I do as an attorney, the law firm, by going to the link in my bio. If you'd like to get in touch with the law firm, you will see the contact information there at the link in my bio. Now, there's the online chat right now, and the scheduling coordinator is available up until 11 p.m. tonight to take your calls, to speak with you through the online chat, and also to take your information on the contact form to schedule a consultation. So, Inderwalia, is there a way to expedite my marriage-based green card? I have got my EAD last month. So, usually under extraordinary circumstances, you'll have to meet those. Now, not to say that expedite it doesn't happen, it does, but usually you have to show a justification, and that has to fall along the lines of something urgent in regards to health, an emergency, or especially if you're outside of the country. If you've received your EAD and you're living in the United States, then maybe not so much, because the EAD is there to alleviate some of the discomforts of the long wait. So keep your questions coming. I am here to answer your questions. Now, if you don't feel comfortable putting your questions in the comments and you really would like to get personal legal advice, because the information here I'm sharing is general information, you can always go to the link in my bio and contact the law firm, schedule a consultation with the scheduling coordinator by calling 561-405-4889. It's also at the website. Now, keep those questions coming. Simply me. How long will it take if I apply for the green card through my mom? So Simply Me, can you follow up and tell me, what is your marital status? What is your mom's status? And what is your age? And that's going to tell me the information I need to give you the estimated time. So go ahead, follow up with that. I am going to keep looking out for your questions. I'm also talking here about how to apply for U.S. citizenship. What do you need to know? Now, one of the major aspects of this, going from green card holder to, so I'm 13, my mom is a citizen of the United States, so that's great. You are an immediate relative of a U.S. citizen. And what that means is that you will take priority in the green card process. Right now, it could range between 9 months to 24 months, but the average time that I see, the most common time, Simply Me, is about 18 months. So 18 months, a year and a half. So keep those questions coming. I am here to answer your immigration questions. So go ahead, put those questions So far, the questions have been great. You're welcome, Simply Me, and good luck. So, your questions. So, my dad is very sick, and I want to go see him, and worried with my travel document. Will I be hassled? So, now, Inder Walia, I don't know what your circumstances are. So I cannot advise you individually. But if you have a travel document, it is there for purposes such as this, for emergencies where you definitely have to leave the country. But if you are really concerned about particular issues going on, then definitely schedule a consultation, and we can delve more into your background, into the background of your application, and then I can give you more of an idea of how big the risk is. When you have a travel document, that's what it is there for. It is there to allow you to travel, especially in cases like this where your dad is very sick. However, I don't know what else is going on. And so that's going to be dependent on what I learn in the consultation in Derwalia. But great question. Now, as generally speaking, the travel document is something that is there for these types of purposes. But of course, there's always that small, very, very small risk generally that, if something happens while you're gone, you may not be able to gain re-entry. But if anything, you are better off having the travel document than not having it at all. How long will it take for a I think that is K1, 2 visa to be processed in Jamaica? So, the K1. So it's taking over a year for the K1 to be processed right now. Marcia Russell, thank you for sharing the live. I definitely appreciate that. Inder Walia, you're welcome. So that's why I'm here. So Sharice Reed. So you said record, but I'm not sure where the other part of your question is. But go ahead and you can put the rest of your comment or question in, and I will go ahead and answer. So so what I was talking about was, hi there, Tikala, it's nice to see you again. It's always nice to see you, especially those who come on and support me every time. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. That's what keeps me coming back. What are the downfalls of going for your interview without any financial evidence? So that can be devastating when it is required. So for example, the affidavit of support is required. And so, hi Tug 1981. Yes, it's been a while, but I definitely appreciate seeing you here. Now, I don't know, when you say financial evidence, do you mean the visitor's visa, or do you mean the marriage-based visa where an adjustment of status is required? What I can tell you is, if there is financial evidence that is required, then it must, you should have it. And so if you don't have it, you need to have an explanation as to why you don't have it, or to show that it doesn't apply to you. So definitely, if you have a concern about that, you can always schedule a consultation. So can someone who has drug charge on record sponsor for green card asking for someone married? So usually when it comes on to a criminal record of the person who is sponsoring, that is usually they don't look into the background of the person who is sponsoring. What they do is look at the background of the person who is the immigrant. And so if the person is sponsoring, if they have a drug charge, and it's not necessarily going to bear on the safety of the immigrant spouse, then it's not necessarily going to prevent that process from going through. So Avinshiv, but one thing I like to say is that definitely schedule a consultation as Sharice, because when it comes on to criminal issues, whether it's on the petitioner side or on the immigrant side, it can still be a complex issue. And I'm giving you general information here. You want to make sure you get specific legal advice. So if someone got deported, how can they have a visa to come back? So a VINSHIV is probably going to, and they have a 5-year ban. So there are waivers that are available to apply for if the 5-year ban is not over yet, or if the inadmissibility continues even after the 5-year ban. But it depends on what the basis of the deportation was. So if you have the 5-year ban, that's telling me that was expedited removal. That means that you were turned around at the border. And if you had additional charges, for example, if you were charged with misrepresentation or fraud, then that could have a longer term implication. You definitely would like to get legal advice. It also depends, the waiver also depends on how you want to come back to the United States. When do you want to come back to the United States? If you want to come back before the 5 years, then chances are it's going to require the permission to reapply for re-entry along with a waiver application for the inadmissibility or the violation. If it's after the 5 years, then it's probably, and the inadmissibility continues, then it's going to be a different type of waiver. Right. Yep. Yes, they got turned back at the airport. Yep. Unfortunately, that does happen. What if we don't have any shared bank account? So if you don't have shared bank accounts, you want to make sure to 1981. Now, no one piece of evidence showing a bona fide marriage except for the marriage certificate is absolutely required. It's very flexible. You can be creative. So in this case, you're definitely going to want to shore up your evidence to make up for the lack of shared financial accounts. So for one, you show if you have social media accounts, if you have pictures at different events and different times and with different people, if you have affidavits that friends and family can write for you, if you have a shared apartment, if you have other pieces of evidence, shared gifts, communication back and forth, shared other bank accounts such as benefits at work like health insurance or life insurance, these can also make up for that. So a VINSHIV, yes, they got turned back. How to change your marital status on the passport? So usually that would involve a change of your passport, and you'd have to submit an passport application. You can contact the passport office to find out how to make a change to your passport. Tikala, my friend's husband had a child he's been taking care of for 14 years. Now find out the child is not his. After the DNA, he would like to know how can come take her, because he said that's still his child. So even though it turns out that it's not his biological child, so now I don't know if they are married. Now there is a provision in the law that says that if they were married and the child was born within the marriage, even though the child was not his, under the U.S. common law, that child could still qualify as his child. So that could be one workaround around it. But keep in mind that that's just an assumption. I would definitely have to do a consultation because it's a lot more complex, that situation. Can they do the waiver from Guyana? So if they are outside of the country, the waiver would have to be done. Waivers, it depends on what type of waiver you're applying for, but and where it can be filed. Depends on what type of waiver, where you are, what the situation is. Yes, they are married. What to bring to come with him? So Tikala, what you need to do is let them schedule a consultation, because while there may be a workaround, it's definitely not anything. It's not any legal advice. The information I give here is very general, And so whether or not there are solutions to this situation really depends on other facts. Hi there, teacher Steve 37. It's nice to see you. Thanks for joining us tonight. So keep that in mind. The mother had passed since she was 3 years old, has passed since she was 3 years old. So Tikala, definitely that's a complex matter, but schedule a consultation and then we can look at the options available depending on the facts. All great, interesting questions. So go ahead, keep putting your questions in the comments because that's why I'm here. I'm here to answer your immigration questions. Why not take advantage of a U.S. immigration attorney being here to answer your questions? Now, I have a topic that I came with. I've been getting such good questions that, yes, Tekala, go ahead and do that so I can speak further with them and do a detailed evaluation. So I have been answering really interesting questions, and so I didn't really get to touch on the topic, but I'll touch on it now that the questions have slowed down a bit. I'll touch on the topic of applying for U.S. citizenship after you've become a green card holder. So to qualify, you'll need to be over 18. You'll need to show that you have maintained continuous residence and physical presence in the United States. And what does that mean? It means for continuous residence that you can show that in the most recent 5 years you have been in the United States, and that's if you're applying based on your 5-year green card residency. Now, if you apply, you have to show that you have maintained your continuous residence in the United States for that time. And what that means is that if you have a history where you've traveled outside of the country for more than a year or even more than 6 months, that can cause the officer to have additional questions for you while you're applying for citizenship. So you definitely want legal advice as to how to overcome any questions or issues that may come up as a result of you leaving for an extended period of time within the most recent years before you apply for your U.S. citizenship. So if my green card is approved, can I work before it comes in the mail? So Saving the Children 2021, you will become a permanent resident once you have been approved, as in you have the approval and you have received for example, an I-551 stamp, or you've received temporary evidence of it. So for example, if you receive the approval notice and it explicitly says that you can use this as evidence of your permanent residence until your card comes, then yes. However, if you don't have that yet, then you want to make sure you have some sort of evidence of your permanent residence. For example, if you have no evidence of your permanent residence and it was approved, you should schedule an InfoPass appointment by contacting the USCIS and get an I-551 stamp in your passport in the meantime as proof of your permanent residence. Tikala, just passed my interview, waiting on oath ceremony for August 6th. Congratulations, that's awesome. That is like the ultimate. So you have been through everything that I'm talking about here. And so that is what I'm talking about, is that journey to U.S. citizenship and going from green card holder to U.S. citizenship. Now, one thing I did want to mention, here's an interesting fact, and I believe I received this question before, and it's if you are married to a U.S. citizen, can you apply for permanent residence within 3 years? And the answer is, even whether you receive your permanent residence through that U.S. citizen spouse or not, as long as you have been married to that spouse for 3 years, U.S. citizen spouse, you can apply for U.S. citizenship. So for example, if you received your green card through your mother, and then you're looking at a 5-year wait. However, say after a year after getting your permanent residence, or say 6 months after you got your permanent residence, you got married to a U.S. citizen, you would just have to wait for 3 years. So it would just be 3.5 years of waiting to become apply for U.S. citizenship, or 4 years versus waiting the full 5 years. So that's a fact that I wanted you to all know, so that if you are currently married to a U.S. citizen, to let you know that your wait can be shorter based on this. So if you can show continuous residence and physical presence in the United States for half of the time that you've been a green card holder, that means that you were in the United States physically for 2.5 years out of the 5 years, then that is also another requirement. I'm 32-year-old, been here over 6 years, student visa, but had expired 5 years ago, no criminal history. So if you, I don't have any path to green card for me in the near future. So if the law changes in the future, maybe. However, right now as the law stands, having a student visa alone and being here for an extended period of time would not qualify you. Under Biden's proposed legislation law, that you could possibly have a path to permanent residence, but it is not law yet. And so until it becomes law, that it would not qualify you. We're planning to get married in August. So China Kane, congratulations. I don't believe I see the rest of your question. Can you retype for me, please, China Chain? I just saw we are planning to get married in August. So congratulations on that. And I want to see the rest of your questions so I can answer it. Hand 0726, you're welcome. So now once you can show that you are over 18, you've maintained continuous residence and physical presence in the United States, that you have lived in your state of residence for at least 3 years. So that means the state you're living in, you must be there for 3 months, 90 days, 3 months, at least 90 days. And you must show good moral character. That's super important. What does that mean? Now, good moral character usually just means that you meet the average standards of good conduct of the community. Now, if you have a criminal record, then that could definitely affect it. Doesn't mean that any criminal record will be a denial, but criminal issues can be complex and it can definitely affect your ability to get the green card. It's also complicated. So schedule a consultation if you have had past arrests, even if there's no conviction, or if you've had a conviction. If you have any doubts about any kind of situation that you've been in, even if your conviction was expunged, even if you went through a diversion program where the charges were dismissed, these are issues that you must disclose, and you should have these evaluated to make sure that it's not going to hinder you in the future from U.S. citizenship. Now, once you have established that you have good moral character, another thing I want you to know though, some shocking things that can prevent you from getting a good moral character finding is delinquent child support, delinquent taxes can also hinder you from obtaining permanent U.S. citizenship. So if you have delinquent child support or delinquent taxes, or you have a history of alcoholism even, you definitely need to get legal advice. While these may not be an automatic denial, it is definitely something you want to make sure you're prepared to defend if you go and there are questions about it. Can I file my I-130, I-485, as well as I-894 in one go? So Shannon, it depends. I don't know what your situation is. I don't know how you qualify, who you're applying through, and so in this case you would need to schedule a consultation, because I don't want to advise you to do this is called an adjustment of status process without knowing all your relevant facts to to be able to advise you. It just wouldn't be fair to you if I told you something here that turned out to be incorrect. Sorry about the call on my phone, but about my question, can they do the waiver from Guyana? So if the person is inadmissible, and yes, they would have to apply for the waiver from Guyana. Can I apply for an ITIN number to open bank account or investment account? So Han, that definitely should be an option. You'd have to apply for the ITIN, and usually there are tax acceptance agents who can assist with that. Just go to the IRS's website, look up tax assistance agencies, and that should help. So my son is filing for me. So Shannon, in this case, I don't get into forms. However, if your son is filing for you, your son is a U.S. citizen, and you came into the country and overstayed your visa, you would qualify for adjustment of status, and that involves definitely filing various forms. But I don't get into the forms just because I don't want to direct you to the wrong forms without fully knowing and getting a picture of what is going on in your case. So now I am going to just quickly go through citizenship, but keep your questions coming as I talk about the citizenship. So once you determine that you qualify, the next step is to go ahead and apply. Now, keep in mind, one of the most complicated, Shannon, yes, definitely I'm looking forward to speaking with you. So call 561-405-4889, or you can go to the link in my bio where you can schedule, you can go to the website, you see the contact information, a contact form you can complete, as well as the online chat. I was asking what is the best visa to apply for my daughter and I on length of the process. So in this case, if you're planning to get married to a U.S. citizen, then you're looking at about 18 months, but keep in mind that your U.S. citizen would have to apply for you separately from your daughter, and your daughter would have to qualify as the U.S. citizen's stepchild. That means that you would have to get married before your daughter turns 18 to qualify. Can I do a 7-week nail certification on a visitor's visa? So now if this is, usually if this requires some sort of school, if it's a degree program, in this case 7 weeks, it's more of a certification. As long as you're not working, it's just a quick professional type course. Usually those don't necessarily require visas, but what you can do is contact the school and just check with them, make sure that they don't have those requirements, and make sure that they're not making you work or do any kind of internships without proper authorization. So how long after divorce can you remarry? So now Bell's Peaches, it depends. I wouldn't want to tell you a timeline. It just depends. Are you planning to file again for someone? Did you file for someone before? Did you divorce someone who, for example, if you divorced a U.S. citizen who mistreated you, and you divorced them and then remarried again, you could possibly lose out on a chance to qualify for VAWA, which would allow you to apply for your own green card. And so in this case, it just all depends, because in a case like that, I would say don't remarry until you apply for VAWA and get approved for it, for the green card and get approved for it, because once you remarry, that you don't qualify for it anymore. However, if you want to divorce someone and then get married to someone else, then that would require a different advice from me. That would be different. So my husband, by common law, wants to sponsor me. What's the best way? So Sarah, 18, sometimes this is not permissible. In this case, if it depends on where you are. What are the states of the law? Is it accepted? Would you be recognized as a married couple in that state? And so Sarah, I can't stress enough, get a legal consultation, and let's talk more about what your particular circumstances are, whether it's best to get married or to get the proper documentation from your state. If common law marriage is legal in your state, to be able to get some document to show that you have a common law marriage. First divorce in another country and want to marry a U.S. citizen. So if you there is no limit on when you can divorce someone else to remarry the other. But what I can tell you, Bell Speeches, is that you must make sure that you can show evidence that this is a real marriage, and that that it's not, for example, you're not trying to leave a marriage to get into another set up marriage to get the papers. That's what an assumption that can be made. So it's very important to show the evidence that this is a real marriage. Also, we have a child together. So Sarah, 18, definitely schedule a consultation. The common law, touching on the common law issues, it does get complicated because it differs from state to state. You can call 561-405-4889 to schedule a consultation, because some states do allow and recognize common law marriages. And in a case where it is considered a marriage in that state, then there may be a path for them to sponsor you. However, in other states, it may not be recognized. It depends on where you are. Are you in the United States or outside of the United States? And so the advice that I would have to give you, specific legal advice about your complex matter. So Tamika, the consultation is $150 for up to an hour. But what I can tell you here is that is well worth it. For $150, you get to know whether you qualify, know your steps forward, know whether you are about to make a mistake, avoid mistakes, know whether you need legal representation. So it definitely gives you a good start to the process, to understand the process, to empower yourself first, and to get valuable legal advice in that time. And you could walk out with me as your attorney should you need it. So you get a lot of value for up to an hour. And I definitely recommend it because it can help you to avoid a lot of hassles and expensive error fixing in the future. So I represent clients all over the country. I'm not limited by borders, state lines, county lines, town line borders. I do virtual, so by Zoom. So I do Zoom, I do phone, and I do in person if you're close by. I'm in Boca Raton, Florida, but I do phone and video consultations for those clients and or individuals who are doing consultations with me who are not just around the corner. So Tamika, feel free to call, schedule a consultation, and we can definitely get to talk about your issue, and I can advise you accordingly. So thank you so much, everyone, for all these questions. These were great, interesting questions. I am going to sign out for the night. I'm here every night, though. I'm pretty sure some of you have seen me already. So if you, Tamika, you're welcome, and I hope to speak with you soon. So if you would like to schedule your own personal consultation, you can go ahead and call 561-405-4889. Go ahead, schedule that consultation, and I can give you personal legal advice in that consultation. There's a scheduling coordinator who is available up until 11 p.m. Monday to Friday to take your calls and to put you on my schedule. And China Kane, I am looking forward to speaking with you. So go ahead and schedule that consultation. Get it out of the way. The scheduling coordinators are available from 9:30 in the morning a.m. all the way back to 11 p.m. And so they are here just to schedule you and put you on my schedule Monday to Friday. So get it out of the way in the week right now. While you're not working, just get it out of the way and know that you have been placed on my schedule. So you're not having to wait very long for a consultation. So I'm looking forward to speaking with some of you tomorrow or in the future. Follow me if you're not already following me, so that you can see when I go live and you can hop on and start asking your questions, because that's why I come on every single night. Have a good night, everyone. See you tomorrow.